Well, I'd like to say that I had an interesting story for you, that there was a moment when I had a revelation and the Dharma was made clear and I committed myself to the not so. Uh, I was once asked, how did I get into meditation? And it turns out I did some martial art, a bit of jujitsu, not very well, some taekwondo, not very well. I employed more strength than skill. But one of the things was there was always a point of meditation. I remember my taekwondo instructor, through the discipline of martial arts training, we shall temper the body, mind, and spirit in pursuit of the way, the truth, and the light. We shall respect our fellow man. We shall practice wisdom and strength through the spirit. And there was always some sort of, some sort of oath at the end, during a practice. And sitting still. So I was probably meditating in some form or some form of practice into my 20s. And there's always a question of respect. For example, you're sparring just because you can knock somebody out, you don't. Because it's almost very much at its best like a conversation. I started meditating, taking up as a practice because I have an issue with my blood sugar. And one of the things, and it needs to go down. One of the things they picked up was aggravating factors of stress. So I got calm out and I started listening to Tamara Lavette, Jeff Warren, two very famous meditation teachers, and they kept referencing Buddhist teachers. Tamara Lavette was telling a story once about this monk who found himself chased by a tiger. So he goes over a cliff and he catches onto a vine. So at the top of the cliff, there's a tiger waiting for him. Below him, there's the depths. He's holding on to the vine, and a mouse starts chewing on the trunk. There's a berry tree, and in the midst of that, he takes the berry and starts eating. How delicious is this berry? So the moments of tiger down into the depths, he's actually able to take that moment of enjoyment, of richness. And I'm surprised that sort of thing resonated with me because I don't see myself as being a fluffy or airy-fairy type of person. And then I started looking for more places to practice. And a couple of places I ended up there was a people of color Sunday class during the pandemic. So I was on that. And then I happened to be passing and saw the Croydon Buddhist Center. Meditation. Right. Started showing up here. There was a Friday night session. I think Punyamati was running that, Deva Gosha. So I was here on those Friday nights. And then Verideva mentions the course, Love as Big as the Wide as the World. I turned up because it was a meditation course. The idea of love, no, not quite. But one of the things that struck me, and I don't know if this was what Verideva was taking, was the idea that I love you, but I don't have to accept your nonsense. So that even as you navigate the world, because you are operating from a place of love, doesn't mean you have to be a doormat. Verideva once told me that actually being a doormat means you're teaching somebody to be unskillful, which isn't good for anybody. And it was an idea that you can act out of concern and compassion for your fellow beings from a very robust position. That resonated with me. The other thing that struck me is walking into that door and bowing reminded me of walking into a dojo, walking into a taekwondo training hall, the same sort of respect, the idea of respect to the space in which you train, the community in which you train, the teachers who come before you that makes it possible for you to train and for you to learn. And that resonated with me. I suppose I have a slightly militaristic streak to me. Surprise. I also have a slightly combative streak to me, so that sort of robustness certainly resonated with me. So that course had some after to my practice, because to be honest, the Metabhavna by itself, may you be well, not quite. But what strikes me with the Dharma is it fits every aspect of how you interact with other human beings, whether it's somebody in a bus where you give them space rather than handing them your shoulder so you get in first, dealing with a difficult conversation in which you're thinking, not only for myself, but for this person, how do we navigate this so that it's the most skillful, the most beneficial response for all parties? Living in community and the idea that you're not only looking after yourself, but looking after others. And there's the idea of the bodhicitta. How am I doing for time?
Got a couple minutes.
Yeah, the idea of the bodhicitta, and that resonates with me, in which you practice not just for yourself, but for all beings. And the transfer of merits, where we talk about this benefit that I've gained being for the benefit of all beings, that everybody will benefit from that. And I think on a practical level, if you operate like that, if you're making a better space for other people, you're making a better space for yourself. One of my friends, I haven't seen him for a long time, is a teacher. And one of the children asked me, Mark, why, sir, sorry, you can't call your teacher by the first name. Sir, why do you teach? He said, because I want nice neighbors. As in, if he teaches those children and educates them, it means he has a better community to which to live. And that idea resonates with me. One of the stories I like is Vim McCurdy, where Vim McCurdy, this man of limitless skillful means, you know, the operating with great love, manifesting sickness, so people will come to hear him. I quite like that. But the bottom line is he always acts for the benefit of all beings. And the story in which he manifests sickness, he says, look, if other people are sick, then I am sick also. We only need to watch the news. We only need to read the internet. I'm not going to name any political figures to actually think that there's a sickness in the world. And unless we change the way we live and the way we operate and the way we interact with others, whether it's in terms of the political choices we make, whether in terms of the way we deal with human beings, whether in the ways in which we operate economically, we're going to be in a very sick place. And I figure practicing either in this, not in the manner in which we do in the Sangha, and yes, this is a Buddhist setting, but in any faith setting, is addressing that issue. How do we make a better world, space to live for us to live as individuals and for the other people we care about?